What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over my Smith & Wesson 10mm that I've done a bunch of stuff to. This is the gun that I carry when I'm up on my property all the time. I've got it on my hip anytime I'm up there. We got to do a little bit of maintenance on this. It is extremely dirty from carrying it up there. And I've also ran into a problem with this, so let's jump into it. So I have some mountain property that we vacation to, that we keep our camp trailer at. We're out away from everybody, it's all private. And when I'm up there, I'm carrying my Smith & Wesson 10mm. You never know what's around, but this is the gun that I choose to carry, but this thing is extremely dirty. I don't know if you'll be able to see how dirty this thing is. It needs to be cleaned, the holster needs to be cleaned, and recently I ran into a little problem with the extensions that I have on this. I've done a few videos on this gun, and in every video I do on this thing, everybody's always talking about the extensions and the spring that's in the magazine. I've got the Floyd's Custom Shop magwell on this, as well as extensions on my magazines, and everybody says that the springs in these are underpowered, they don't work, you gotta change them out. And up until recently, I have never had an issue with them. They've always fed fine. They've always locked the slide open. I haven't had any issues with them. So I've just ran with the factory springs that are in these things. Now, typically with this gun, I leave it loaded all the time. I take it up there, it's on my hip, loaded the whole time. When I come home, I throw it in the gun safe. Next time I go, I pull it out and it's ready to go. But occasionally while I'm up there, I'll empty the magazine, make sure everything functions how it's supposed to, make sure it's up to snuff, throw a little oil in it, because it does get dusty and dirty. But the last few times I've done that, I've had a problem with the magazine. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the magazine that I've had in it. It is fully loaded with 10mm. I forgot what brand it is, but I just took this out of the gun a few minutes ago. It's at full capacity right now, full of ammo. But let me show you what happens. I can start taking these bullets out one at a time, and you can see after I get 2 bullets out, that thing is not all the way at the top. Take that out. You can see that's kind of stuck down in there. See what I'm running into? That magazine spring isn't pushing those bullets up. The first time this happened was a scenario like this. I was just pulling the bullets out. I was going to clean the magazine, and that spring is stuck down in there. It won't push that follower up. So this is all just loose in there. Now, when it happened the first time, I just gave it a good smack on the table, and that spring let loose and came to the top, and it ran fine for a little while after that. And then I ran into some issues with it not locking the slide open on the last round. So I've got all the bullets out of this, and that follower is stuck at the bottom. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. I'm gonna try and get this to focus and shine a light down in there. There we go. That follower is stuck all the way down at the bottom. It looks like that follower is kind of jammed up underneath the lip of that magazine, that bottom lip where that extension goes on. That's obviously a big problem. I got some new magazine springs for this, some extra power, longer ones that are built for extensions. I think they're made by Wolff. So I'm gonna throw those in here. I'm hoping that fixes the problem, because obviously this is a problem. You don't want to shoot 1 shot, 2 shots, and have that follower stuck down and it not reload something when a bear's coming at you, or whatever the situation is. If you're everyday carrying something like this, you don't want that to be an issue. That is a huge problem. I'm going to see if I can loosen this spring up. I'm going to swap these springs out, get that gun cleaned up, and this gun's going to be pulled out of my rotation until I make sure that it is 100% reliable, because this is not okay. I never had any issues with the factory base pads that were on the magazines before. And up until recently, like I mentioned, I haven't had an issue with these. I'm gonna see if I can jam this pen down in here and get this thing, oop, that came up halfway, but I don't know if you'll be able to see in there. It is kind of cocked sideways. There we go. So that's all the way at the top now. Once I get this thing apart, I'm gonna look at everything inside and see if I can replicate where that thing's hanging up. But I'm going to see if I can see any wear marks or gouges in that plastic for the follower, and see if I can pinpoint exactly where that is. So let's jump over the bench. I'll show you those new springs that I got that I'm gonna be throwing in this thing. I'm gonna get this gun all cleaned up because this may be due to some dust and dirt and stuff like that that's in here as well. But the slide not locking back is the issue that everybody talks about in the comments, and I have ran into that issue as well, so those extra power springs will help alleviate that. So let's hit the bench, I'll show you everything, and I'll get going on this. So here's where we're at. This thing is empty. Both magazines are empty. I'll just tell you a little bit about what I have done to this thing so far. I have the TLR-7A weapon light on it. It's got a Holosun 509T red dot on it. I have the Apex Action Enhancement Trigger Kit in it. And then the Floyd's Custom Shop magwell and base pads. And then the holster that I run is a Four Brothers outside the waistband holster. Like with all my videos, I do have a link in the description that'll take you to my website where I have a build list for all this stuff, all the stuff I use. So you guys can go over there, check that stuff out, get some more information. And I will have a link for these new springs that I'm using. These are from Wolff. They're the extra power. They fit 9mm, 40, and 10mm, and these are the extra long ones for extended base pads. These are both magazines. That's how the followers look. I'm gonna pull these things apart real quick, get them cleaned up, see if I notice anything, and then get those new springs installed to hopefully alleviate the problem that I'm having with this. There are a few rough spots on there. I'm not seeing a big gouge or anything. I mean, yeah, there are a few rough spots, but nothing that's sticking out, nothing that's catching my eye. I can't really see any rough spots in the base of that magazine. There's a little bit of plastic on the front of that from that follower rubbing up and down. Then I can't really see anything on the inside of that one either. That one's the same thing. I don't feel any burrs or anything around the magazine body itself, but I am noticing that both of these extensions look like they have a little bit of wear, like right in here. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera or not, or maybe that's just normal from putting the spring in and out, but there's a little bit of wear right there on that one. And then on this one, which is the one I was showing you in the beginning, there's a little bit of wear right there. Let me show you what these springs look like compared to the new springs. So that's the length difference. You can see that's quite a bit longer. It feels a little bit stiffer. And I'm hoping that this is going to help alleviate my problem. So I'm going to set this stuff aside. I'm going to get these springs swapped out. I'm going to clean up these followers real good, clean up the magazines and the bases real good, get those put back together, and then I'm going to knock out some maintenance on cleaning this thing up because it is extremely dirty. So that's a quick and easy clean on the gun itself. Before we get to those magazines, I forgot to mention shirts and hats are on the website. If you guys want to go pick up some channel merch, jump over to the website. I'll make sure I have a link in the description. And then I'll also have that link for all the parts and pieces that I use on this build, as well as any cleaning supplies I use or tools or anything like that I use in the process of the video. I'll also have a link over to the holsters because these are my favorite holsters. I've got a bunch of them and I run them all the time. This is the only holster I use, these Four Brothers, so go check them out as well. But this thing cleaned up really nice, got it ready to rock and roll, and it's ready to go next time I go to use this thing. Now these magazines, I got those extra power springs in here that are built for the extended base pads, and just pushing down on that, you can definitely feel that that's a stronger spring in there. I got them all cleaned up, re-Loctited the screws on the back to hold those base pads on. I'm gonna load one of these up and unload it, kind of like I did in the beginning, and see if this helps out our problem. Got that all loaded up, 19 rounds in there. It went in pretty smooth. Those things are standing up proud now. It's working so far. I'm gonna make sure that follower will lock the slide back. It does. And here's the other one. So both of them are locking the slide back. Both of them are functioning how they're supposed to function as of right now. Once I get this thing back out, I'll really test it out. Put a couple hundred rounds through it, make sure that these things aren't hanging up anymore. Make sure they're locking that slide back when you're actually using the gun versus just sitting in a controlled environment like this. And I'm hoping that fixes my problem, because from what I've read and the stuff that I've heard, these springs are a must-have if you're doing these extensions from Floyd's Custom Shop. Now, I don't have answers for you as far as why doesn't Floyd's Custom Shop include these when you buy this stuff. If they know there's a problem, they sell them on their website. They have these exact springs on there. Why don't they include them when you're buying the stuff? That way a lot of guys wouldn't run into these problems, you know? But time will tell. If this thing fixes my problem, I'll make sure and do an update video when I run this thing through its paces for a while and make sure it's good to go. I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit those links that'll be down in the description. Go get yourself a t-shirt. Check out the products that I was talking about today. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll check you guys on the next one.